There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for tuning in to this TGIF edition of CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Now, on this lunchtime learning session, we're going to revisit a brand that covers a lot of different categories and honestly has been around for quite some time. I remember hearing about this brand way back when mobile video kind of just made it onto the scene, and Accele Vision at the time was probably one of the premier brands that you wanted to have in your vehicle if you wanted to put some headrest screens or flip down screens or whatnot. Now, since then, the brand has evolved quite a lot. They've expanded into multiple different categories, and everything from ADAS to seat heaters to relays, Bueller relays. You might have heard of that. If you want to check back on the different Accele sessions that we've done, certainly we've gone in depth on many of them. Now, today, it's going to be a little bit interesting, a little bit dynamic. Of course, we're going to have a representative from Accele, Christian, who will be joining us, but we're also going to have their two Canadian distributors on the show with us. So for those of you who don't know, if you're a dealer tuning in, Accele products in Canada are distributed by two major distributors, one of them being BB Distribution out in Alberta, and the other is Importel in Toronto. So both these companies work together to get the product out to you guys, the dealers. And I know that they have some big news. But before we got there, I wanted to invite these distributors on to kind of give a lay of the land of what Accele, the brand, means in Canada. I'm going to start first by inviting my good friend Jaren from BB Distribution, who's standing by, so I can pick his brain a little bit here. What's going on, Jen?
Not much, Ben. How's it going?
Well, like I said, living the dream. We're all, man, it's starting to snow. I know it's already started to snow in Alberta.
Yeah, someone flicked the winter light switch here on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, it went from feeling like fall weather to winter overnight. So 20 centimeters of snow dumped on us.
Wow, 20 centimeters.
Everyone forgot how to drive, the usual.
Of course. And all the procrastinators, right, with the winter tires. We all know about that issue.
Yeah, you don't need winter tires until it actually there's snow on the ground, right?
Of course not. Yeah, until the shovel comes out, you don't need tires. But so I want to talk to you. Thank you for making the time today, Jaren. You know, BB Distribution is one of the two major distributors for Accele Electronics. Now, I mentioned that Accele's been around for quite some time. I'd like to pick your brain a little bit to set it up for the dealers listening. You know, when you think of Accele in your lineup, what does it mean to you? What does it represent? And why is it an important brand for dealers to take a closer look at?
I definitely think it's an important brand, just all the variety that Christian offers and that Accele offers, all the little knickknacks, little things that you don't think about, but also some of the bigger items that we do with them. But like as far as installation accessories, add-ons, bringing up that ticket value on each ticket, right? The little things add up in the end to that bigger picture. So definitely those little things help out, but Christian also has the big go-to categories as well. Like we do a mass amount of seat heaters with him, collision avoidance with him, overhead video solutions for a bunch of different vehicles, and USB solutions. There's a wide variety of options that Accele offers.
Yeah, it's one of those essential lines that honestly every serious shop probably already has some stuff in some manner of Accele in there, but it's such a big catalog. So of all those categories, which one would you categorize or prioritize as like your go-to when it comes to Accele?
Our go-to for sure is Christian seat heaters.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of seat heaters we go through. If anyone's been to Alberta and Canada in general, yeah. Canada's cold in general, but if you've been to the prairies and the cold here, it's just, you need a heated seat in your car. So it's a huge category. Definitely the dealers, expediters in that category just move through Christian's heated seats like crazy.
So that's certainly something you'll always have in inventory ready to go.
Yes.
Very, very cool. Well, I'd like to contrast your ideas there with bringing in the other distributor, which is we're going to go to Toronto now. Going to bring on Romesh from Importel and see what he has to say about Accele. What's going on, Romesh?
Hey, not much, Ben. Hey, Jaren. How you doing, guys?
Good. So as I mentioned, you guys, Importel, BB, kind of tag team and get Accele out to the dealers out there. Jaren mentioned, the vast categories that Accele covers, but also how it's kind of like an essential brand whereby it fits in a lot of different things that shops need. And when I asked, what are the go-to category, he said seat heaters. I'd like to hear the Importel perspective on that.
Well, I mean, we carry quite a bit from Accele as well, or from Accele as well. Jaren had covered on some of the various categories, from installation parts to video and overhead video. For us, our main focus is flip down video and rear seat entertainment. We do quite a bit, and then the emerging category that's very big is still collision avoidance, right? Because there just aren't a lot of solutions available, and a lot of the ones, and some of the ones that are, just don't feature anywhere near the same technology that we do with Accele. So
very, very interesting.
You were talking about, Ben, you mentioned every dealer should have Accele product in their inventory, and it's sort of funny because there's a lot of product that we carry, especially in the dealer category, that every dealer should have a 6-pack, let's say, a smorgasbord of 6 SKUs, which are not high ticket items, but they really eliminate that, hey, we're stuck. Those installs where, it's not turning off, it's not turning on, there's a pop, there's a ping, there's a biff and a bong. And, for dealers out there that are listening, all those times where the job stops, the installation stops because you can't, it should be done, but it's not. And now you're picking up the phone and you're calling all over the place. You're calling, the manufacturer of the amplifier or whatever the device is. And it really is more of an install application type of solution. Accele we have timed relays, we have time turn on, we have time turn off.
They have waterproof relays too, if I'm not mistaken.
Waterproof relays, right? And a lot of those things are small ticket items, but they're more. You're losing a half hour to an hour in the bay or more trying to figure this thing out, right? And really, you could have just walked to your drawer and pulled out this thing and put it in and solved the problem and moved on. Literally unplug the standard relay that you had, plug this thing in, turn the dial, install's done, move on.
I'm going to assume, Jaren, that you're kind of agreeing with what Romesh is saying here too, because you guys sell a lot of that stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure. You always got to have the toolbox full or the stock room full of those additional items that are going to help you in the install, because the worst thing to happen is to have to keep a vehicle overnight to ship in a few dollar relay to finish this job, right?
But you've lost time. You're paying extra shipping, last minute rush for no reason, and you're just losing your bottom dollar, right? So here's the question: as a dealer, do you have kind of set kits or recommended buy-in on something like Accele, whereby you're like, what, if you're going to do it, you should get these relays, these switches, these USB plugs? I'm going to start with you, Romesh. Is that something that you offer?
We don't have a preset piece, but it's realistically, you just kind of need one of each, because you can just reorder it on the next order. Sure, we could say gut order 10 of all, but if you haven't tried them yet, you need one of each, and then you're going to see those solutions. Every time that you bang your head against the table, you should be like, oh wait, let me open this drawer or this spot on my shelf or my wall or wherever you have them, and go, oh yeah, I could use that. Before you even pick up the phone, just think and go, oh yeah, that'll work.
I mean, great shops always have all these kind of things in inventory. I was just speaking on behalf of maybe one of the more up and coming shops, that might not have as much experience as some of the bigger shops. Like we've done these shop visits where literally,
I would challenge every shop, including the great shops, to go walk in their back room, and whether you buy from BB or you buy from Importel, right? Go check your back room, and I will bet you that you do not have it, or you thought you had it and you sold it and you didn't reorder it.
Interesting.
Right? Because it's a low dollar item, and you always call in and you order the $1,000 amplifier and the $5,000 components and and you go to do this massive install, and you got a bing or a bong or a pop or
yeah, absolutely. We all know that
it like 100, whatever. Let's say hourly labor rate's $100 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sitting there for an hour scratching your head, and you've got remote starters or heated seats or whatever, because it's minus 100 outside and the snow's flying, and you've got this one thing sitting there, that's a bit of a disaster.
Okay.
Right? Like even to the point of heated seats, you could use the timed relay on there. And I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying if you wanted to just delay the turn on, because the preset from the starter automatically turns the heated seats on. If you wanted to give it 30 seconds or a minute, it's literally just with the relay and turn the dial and you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So here's where I want to go next. I wanted to thank you for that. Want to get a little bit of insight and background on the brand. There's a couple key items, like you had mentioned, Jaren, that Accele kind of excels at. Sorry for the lack of the word. And we're going to go to the site and we're going to take a look at some of this stuff, because it's kind of important that dealers kind of get an understanding. It's kind of, a name like Accele doesn't speak as to what it does. It's not one of those brands. You got to get the effort and kind of get into the catalog to really appreciate the type of offering that Accele does actually offer. So let's go ahead and we're going to share this here, and I'm going to ask you guys. This is going to be an interesting conversation here. I'm on the website here, and we're under blind spot and park assist sensors. That's something that you brought up, Romesh. What I want to zone in on is the two different technologies that they offer for the sensors, right? So if you're looking at these backup systems, you're looking at these blind sensors. Basically, this separates into two categories. You have an ultrasonic type sensor, and then you have a microwave sensor. Romesh, would you like to start? Which one do you prefer and why? And what do the dealers need to know?
Well, I think the focus, if I'm looking at it from a dealer standpoint, is really on the microwave side.
Okay. BS 500. Let's go here and put it in BS 500. There we go. So this is a kit that people are used to, right? You've got the sensors. You've got the LED, but really it's in the technology. And I think this slide here kind of explains it all.
You got it. So where this system, where this is different is, first of all, in the install. If you go back to the other system, you notice that the sensors are to the 200. If you go back there. Can you go back to the 200, which is the
right here,
the ultrasonic? Right. So you'll notice dealers will be more familiar with that right away, because you're drilling holes in the bumper and you're mounting the ultrasonic system. Kind of oversimplified to go back to the microwave. Like, kind of oversimplifying the ultrasonic explains the microwave a little bit. So you're hogging holes in the bumper, number one, which, depending on the customer's aversion to permanent modifications, you may or may not want to go that way. Number two is oversimplifying again. It's more similar to a backup system that we're all, or the sensors themselves and the base technology, not how it works, but the base technology is more similar to a backup sensor.
Mm-hmm.
So we're putting the holes in the bumper. We may or may want to do that. If you have a metal bumper, that's not going to work, because it's going to typically interfere. So we got a few things to sort of work around.
Well,
However,
I'm going to interject before you continue, though. I have heard the comment from customers saying, "Yeah, but from factory, I see these kind of sensors on bumpers from the original manufacturer.
Right,
Shouldn't I go with the same?"
Okay, so the bumpers, the sensors that you see on the bumper in the back are not for collision avoidance. They're for backing up. Proximity for backing up, right? So they've got the camera typically in the vehicle, and then they've got the backup sensors that are giving them a distance to the closest object, right? When we go to microwave, we now have not just vehicles that are approaching. So we're mounting these puppies in behind the plastic bumper. So in between the metal bumper and the plastic bumper, you'll notice there that there's a 3M adhesive that's got the peel away, the tear away there. So those are mounting on the substrate, if you will, in behind the plastic bumper. So first of all, we're not making holes. So that right away makes the install a little bit easier. We don't have to worry about cosmetic modifications to the vehicle. And then to your point on visible and not visible, the collision avoidance system is actually up and behind there anyways in most systems.
And that's the thing that I don't think customers see, because they're only gonna they see what they see. In other words, they don't know that there's another sensor behind there and so on and so forth. And the comments that I heard is they think that that's the sensor for everything. So you've demystified that. And the other thing is, but with the bumper in the way, right, won't that affect my detection? So Jaren, I'm going to let you chime in a little bit on this conversation with regards to the ultrasonic and the micro blind spot detections systems.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing going to the microwave technology here, actually that picture that you have showing up there, the obsolete versus new technology, the biggest thing that usually scares dealers that we've found, Romesh might be the same thing on blind spot kits, is taking the bumpers off. It really scares a lot of dealers. They hear take a bumper off, they're like, okay, I'm 5 hours into this, right? I got to take the bumper off this car. So this new technology that Accele has that allows it to kind of stick on the backside of the bumper there is really going to streamline. You're not trying to mount those big pucks onto the frame of the vehicle. You're just sticking it on the backside of the bumper that's already there. Usually most bumpers have the space available to just reach up underneath.
I was just going to say, and there's circumstances whereby you can just reach up under there, right, and clean and then put.
There's usually grommets going for like license plate lights, marker lights underneath that you can follow those factory grommets. So this is really going to streamline the install for dealers. Dealers are used to drilling the ultrasonic sensors. Like that's still a big category that's done all the time, is still backup sensors in vehicles. So they are used to drilling holes as well in bumpers, but most of the time when you're drilling that hole in the bumper, you're also not removing it. That scare frame comes in when you're actually physically removing bumpers, I think, for most dealers. And I know most techs are in the same mindset, especially if you haven't done it before. If the vehicle pulls in the bay and it's like, okay, we're doing blind spot in this, you got to remove the bumper. And it's like, that's the first scary thing, is like, we need lots of labor to remove this bumper. As someone that's removed a lot of bumpers in my day, it's usually not that scary, but this gives you an option for that dealer. Hey, just skid plate underneath. Let's roll under the car. Let's find the area, mount this in the corner of the bumper. You'd be ready to go.
I'm curious, within these kits, is everything included? Is there anything you need beyond what comes in the kit, Romesh?
I mean, some of the regular installation stuff, like, you're gonna need your regular stuff like zip ties and loom and a couple of things like that. But other than that, I mean, all the major stuff that you're gonna need is included in the kit.
Okay, very good. And on a level, Jaren, on a level of 0 to 10, 10 being like Mission Impossible, just so we have an understanding, what level of difficulty is it to get into installing these type of kits?
I'd put like 5 or 6 on it.
Okay,
like,
so it's a medium.
It's a medium. It's gonna take you some time running the wires through the vehicle, getting the indicators up front and stuff, but it's definitely not Mission Impossible.
I'd agree.
Now, the reason I set that up, and this is my last question before we move on to the next topic, is I'm a dealer. I've been doing car stereos and car starters for the majority of my business. there's this new category coming in, there's lighting, and now there's ADAS, right?
Mhm.
Analyzing this as a business opportunity. Am I still as profitable? Am I putting in the same amount of effort? Am I putting in the same amount of risk? Like, can you help me understand that quickly without going too deep into Jaren? Maybe I'll start with you.
It's true of everything. The first time you do it, you're going to run into some hurdles. But as you progress and get more comfortable with it, everyone remembers, to put it in the starter category a little bit, everyone remembers the first remote starter they put in. It was a pain. You didn't know what you were doing. You probably had someone guiding you, but the first one that you did on your own, you ran into problems and it took you a while. And now, if you've done hundreds and hundreds and thousands of starters, I know I've done probably thousands, it's like walking for you. Just put the starter in. So the first one, yeah, you're going to run into some hurdles. You're going to run into something, but it's going to become easier from there. And as you progress and learn all these tricks and everything, it's going to become easy and part of your business. And we all know that safety sells.
Okay, I like. And what about you, Romesh? From a business standpoint, what advice do you have for dealers? Because I keep promoting it. I think this is the next emerging category. This is stuff that, people. Safety is such a big selling point for vehicles these days. Such an easy sale when you can tell the customer, "Hey, I can make your car more safe. Did you know that I noticed that your car doesn't have this feature, but we could put it in for you?"
Well, I think if we look at the OE manufacturers, I think they've got more money than brains as far as doing market studies and understanding the whole insurance side of it. And I think they've shown that including all of these features at the OE level has become extremely important for them to sell new cars. So how does that impact us? Well, there's always, I was looking at some entry level vehicle pricing recently just to see what feature sets were involved. And if you didn't want to be at 26,000-ish or more, you had to buy the vehicle that didn't have any of the safety features. Besides, the only feature it really had was the backup camera. So these are opportunities on new vehicles for expediters, but also to your point of so where am I as a dealer? Like, why do I why do I care? Right. Well, all the dealers that you do work for and all the consumers that are coming in that are not going to spend that extra, they want the $19,999 vehicle, not the $24,000 or $25,000 vehicle, which comes with lane assist and the backup system, the proximity, just aside from the camera, right? So all of these things, like, doesn't come with heated seats that we talked about, doesn't come with a remote starter, right? All of those things we can offer them at the new car level, but then there's also, earlier than the last 2 or 3 years, there's this big gap where the OEs didn't even offer those features until you bought the top of the line feature pack with the sunroof and whatever else it came with. So I think it's a huge category, and I think dealers, because we don't think about it, I think Jaren kind of hit on the head. It's like, hey, he's put in like 1,000 starters, and so if most dealers, but we're creatures of habit, and we do things like we used to do it a lot of the time. We were talking about the installation, and I was laughing to myself, going, yeah, but I'm an installer. I do wire to wire. I've been doing it like that since electricity was invented. Yeah, but you could put a T harness in and get in and out, right? Like,
I'm sure you guys have never encountered those type of people ever.
Oh,
right?
no,
never. I've never spoken to someone that didn't want to do a T harness because they've done wire to wire for 30 years.
You realize we could do an entire show just about T harnesses, right? Yeah.
Right.
Anyways.
So, but it was just sort of a contrast to drilling the bumper, right? And it doesn't mean not to drill the bumper. That's not what I'm saying. Our dealers have all done it, and they've done it well, and there's no issue drilling a bumper. And I agree with what Jaren said. But there's also it's like, I've drilled bumpers forever. It's like, yeah, but why if you don't need to?
Right.
You're that much faster getting the car in and out with a higher safety quotient, because we can offer more, in my opinion, with the microwave system, right? But
I think what we've learned is there's a place for both.
Absolutely.
It goes back to like the remote start, digital versus analog thing. Like it's like the point is the technology is there both ways. And you know what I mean? So our job, you as a distributor, me as a host here, is to make them aware, educate them, let them know, right?
Right. All right. Safety falls into that same category.
100%. Okay, so we've been dancing around it. Jaren said at the top of the show, seat heaters is kind of a big deal right now. It's freaking cold, especially Alberta. Poor guys over there. But it's a big deal because it's a luxury feature that is super important. But I know there's somebody backstage that's super important, that's super excited to talk about seat heaters. In fact, I don't know of a human being on earth that is more excited to talk about seat heaters than who we're about to bring on. We're going to go to California and bring on Mr. Vice President of Accele, Mr. Christian Way. What's going on?
Morning, guys.
You're in the way.
Morning. How you doing?
Good. I can barely hear you, so let me
no worries. Bring up the volume.
I just got
the
probably the
audio
wrong
side here.
speaker selected, I would think.
Sorry about that.
While we bring that up, we've got Michael Berger from Automobility chiming in. I want to show this here. Check this out. Romesh is bang on there, and 2022 will be good for this category. As many manufacturers don't have the ICs to even offer it in the highest trims these days on new vehicles. He's referring to the lack of supply in the new vehicle chain. So this could be really, really interesting moving into 2022 with that in effect. Jaren, do you agree with what Mike's saying?
Yeah, everyone's probably heard in the past couple of weeks of GM's press release saying that new vehicles starting November, December, they're going to stop manufacturing them with a bunch of heated features on them. This is a huge opportunity for the aftermarket 12 volt. I know we've had quite a few dealers reach out to us about seat heaters specifically because of the announcement.
Would you say that's probably the number one feature in that context of feature set in the aftermarket?
I wouldn't put it number one, Ben, but I'd put it as definitely a high feature set that people are looking for.
Okay, very good, very good.
I'd put it number two.
Okay, what's number one? Now you have me curious. What would you say number one is?
Air conditioning?
No, I'd say CarPlay integration. Everyone.
You know what? You nailed that, Jaren. Jaren, you totally nailed that. You're right. 100% CarPlay is probably.
People will not buy a vehicle purely on, hey, this doesn't have CarPlay in it. No thanks. But plenty of people are going to be like, hey, looking at this new vehicle, what do you mean my 2022 doesn't have heated seats?
Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Customer, don't worry. We can add those on for you. Mm-hmm. Here you go. Accele JWC or JWC 200 or 400N. We'll add that on for you.
There you go. Look, Romesh is nodding, so I'm going to say he agrees to that statement. But we're gonna bring Christian on here. There you go, Christian. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's perfect. Can you hear me okay?
We got you loud and clear, bud.
Okay.
So we're getting into, I was just saying, the most excited person to talk about seat heaters on the planet is joining us, and you are here. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you guys were talking about new car production, kind of eliminating the seat heater. A couple other.
We first started. We got into this conversation about the ultrasonic versus the microwave blind spot sensors. Then we got into this discussion about seat heaters and about the shortage and the what GM announced. And now you came in perfect because where we want to go next is seat heaters because it's kind of timely and it's a big category here in Canada.
Yeah. Yep. Obviously the JWC 200 there is that's our number one seller. That first piece right there. Carbon fiber, on off, high low switch, really, really durable. So our pads come out of an OE factory. So they actually get, I think it's like a 20,000 knee test or something, but it's actually called a knee test. That's the technical term for it. And it's essentially
as in your joint.
It's this machine that grinds the pad, essentially, like you're driving your knee into it.
Okay.
Not that anybody has that sharp of buttocks, but you never know, I guess, right?
I know I don't, but anyhow.
Bony butt.
Now, is this the main the bread and butter piece here for the Canadian distributors?
That one and our C400 as well, right? They both, that's exactly, here we go. Yeah, so they both, again, come with carbon fiber pads. We did not too long ago, we did kind of like a what's in the box on our, on CMA, and we went through. So if you, for everyone that's listening, you want to kind of do a deeper dive on how each of these works and their features, definitely go over because we kind of go into detail over the pads. The different technologies, obviously, between your carbon fiber pad versus the other filament style, of which we have both. The carbon fiber obviously is the best because it's trimmable, right? As you can see.
So just to clarify, because I'm going to play dum-dum here, when you say trimmable, meaning you could cut the piece to shape to fit the seat the way you want. Is that what you mean by that?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Because it works like a barbed wire fence, essentially, right? So, if you look at it, there's continuity all the way through the pad. So, and as long as you don't cut the top, right, the top distribution, that comes from the top, goes all the way down the sides, then it goes into the grid. So as long as you don't cut those,
so you've got three sides to the pad whereby you could adjust the size.
Correct.
The left, right, and top. And this kit also comes with a timer relay along with that switch that you see there.
Yeah. So this has high, low, medium, and off, of course, right? So it's a little nicer switch. Obviously you have the different settings on it, but it also offers a trigger wire. Right. So that's really the biggest feature of this is you can trigger it with your alarm or car starter. So, for the dealers out there, this is the perfect add-on for any car starter because you already have a remote. So you can just remote trigger it. You can actually not just remote trigger it, but you can actually go through the levels of the high, the low, and the medium from your remote. Right.
Oh, you can set the intensity?
Right. So if you hit the button, it's a momentary switch. You hit the button once, it's going to be on high. You hit it twice, It goes to medium. You hit it 3 times, it goes to low and then off. Well, the trigger works the exact same way. So the trigger wire, if you hit the remote once, twice, 3 times, you can just set it on low. You can set it on high. You can leave it wherever you want. And what you're not doing is, just depending on if you're a car starter, if you're doing a remote car starter, you're kind of banking on the fact that whoever was in the back seat left the heater on, or whoever's in the front seat that you actually left the switch on. You don't have to worry about any of that. It overrides the switch and then does that. And then the timer comes into play because obviously, if it's triggered accidentally or you decide that you're not going to leave, or you're late for a, video meeting and you decide to jump in someone else's car, you can trigger it. It'll turn off in 15 seconds. That's the.
So what makes why is everybody so hot on your seat heater? What makes your seat heater different from maybe what else is the other ones that are on the market? What makes it unique?
Well, I think first safety. So I think if you look at the gauge wires that we have running through, just that alone, I've seen some other ones out there, and the thickness of the pad, the durability of the pad. Those things, they're important. Let's put it that way, right? I really like on the backside. Again, we dive really deep in that other video, so if people can go look at that, it's outstanding. But just the little details, our continuity stitch. So as the power is distributed all the way down, we have that strip. Like we put extra stitching to make sure that stays in place. It doesn't arc. It doesn't move. Those details, and then obviously these features, right? So the timer. You have the ability to trigger it. This piece is outstanding. No one else has that feature where you can actually, trigger this.
Oh, so that's a unique feature.
This is an exclusive feature. Yeah, correct.
I'm going to go back to Jaren on this since Jaren seems to know quite a bit. Not that Romesh doesn't, but I'll start with Jaren. Which model is it worth the upgrade to go to this JC4 400 model with the extra features? Do you recommend?
Yeah, for sure. It depends on your usages, but the 400 is a great upgrade gives you another heat setting. So 200's high-low, gives you one more heat setting. Momentary button, we've had dealers just obsessed over the button. Hey, I like the look of this button, the factory look button with the illumination, everything on it. It's a great upgrade, great piece, and the ability to trigger it in the timer. And something else that Christian didn't mention with the timer is in some of these newer vehicles, just finding the switched accessory is becoming harder and harder. So this allows you to just hook it to constant 12 volt ground. It has a 15-minute timer on it, so it time out after 15 minutes, right? So you're not
that makes things a lot
worried
easier
about finding that accessory power in the vehicle all the time.
Right. I'll give a, Romesh an opportunity to comment on these two pieces here.
There,
Romesh?
I think we lost Romesh there.
No, he's there. Romesh, you hear us? Oh, maybe not. Okay, we'll circle back to Romesh. All right, now I'm going to ask you, because I noticed that these kind of all look the same, right? Carbon fiber, I get it. Then there's this piece over here, which has my curiosity peak. Let's talk about this SH220 CFR. What's this about?
Yeah, it's a split pad, right? It's a filament style, but it's a split pad. It's great for, you can just go directly up the center and split them entirely. As you can see, the power distribution goes into each individual pad. So there's 4, right? If you look at it, I mean, technically there's almost 4
there's basically, because I see, there's 2 wires going into it. Big
so
pad, that could be split too.
Yeah, so you're not trying to cut, you're not trying to cut a big hole around a sensor, or this way you can kind of go up on the edges of each seat if you're worried about an occupancy sensor. Okay. It's also really good for bikes, so you can. Yeah, it's great for
what heats better? What's a better performing unit?
Well, I mean, for an even distribution, the carbon fiber is going to do a better job, right? That means that the heat is distributed more evenly throughout the pad. Correct. If you're looking for a heat source, I mean, I think the filament heats up pretty fast, the filament style, right? Okay. But then again, you're limited. You can't, like on this one, you can obviously go ahead and cut right down the center because there's no continuity in between. But you can't cut a hole in the middle of each pad, right? As soon as you cut that little wire, you see
you're done.
Filament, you're done. It's just like a light bulb. As soon as that breaks, there's no
now from a price point. This is a lower than the carbon fiber one, or higher?
Not necessarily. This one, because the technologies aren't, any. There's really not that much difference in cost when you look at the elements.
Gotcha.
In fact, sometimes I think the filament, the SH200, to be honest with you, is more expensive than the carbon fiber piece. Unfair because we produce so many more, of the carbon fiber. So, your economies of scale are going to lead you to, a lower cost. But
okay.
But yeah, they're still very effective. Obviously, the SH200. Some people, it's a very, very reliable piece. That was our first seat heater we launched, and the best part about that is just the size of the pad. You don't need to trim it. It's really small. Fits in all sorts of places, and it's a really versatile piece and very dependable.
And most of the time, Jaren, these are 2 pieces per seat, so back and bottom, or do people just do bottom, or how does that work? Like, what is?
So one kit gives you the back and the bottom of the seat. So it'd be 2 pieces in there, one switch to control the back and the bottom of the seat.
Or do 4, and you can do 4 passengers front and rear, right? Which is kind of cool too. The other thing I wanted to mention here, Chris, is I thought these switches are really nice. Like very factory looking, I might say. Like that looks straight out of an Audi.
Yeah. So
SH200T.
Yep, and we have the full switch kits. We just kind of represent the switch because you already see the pad ahead, but we have all the carbon fiber kits for those, and those drop directly into the punch outs of the factory. Right.
Really?
So Toyota, Nissan, right. The knockouts, they drop right in. Go that extra mile. That one has a variable high low, which is nice. So it's a full dial. So there is no high, medium, low. It's high, it's low, linear. And whatever you want in between. You know what I mean? Just dial it in. So yeah. Very,
very cool. Okay. We got more to talk about. We got more to talk about here. So our next category that we want to touch on, and what you missed in the beginning there, Chris, is that we kind of went over the importance of the brand and the whole catalog and how they position it within each distributor's offering, being as kind of one of those essential brands where you're just going to have a piece or two everywhere. But let's talk real quick about keyless entry systems, which is something I don't believe we talked about too much, but I know it's a unique piece for you.
Yeah, it is. Our RS505. I mean, we used to be pretty big in security, back in the day. There were just too many players at one point. I mean, it just seemed like there was an alarm manufacturer on every corner slinging something, and so we just kind of found that our investment was better placed elsewhere. But with regards to like car starters themselves, and we figured let's just go put our our investment in different technologies, and let everyone else go ahead and fight over that. But this is one of the pieces that we did not pull out. The RS505, we've had a couple of different series, and people just love this unit. So this is adaptable to any alarm system, essentially, right? And it's just it's a glorified remote. It's a keyless entry system. All you do is you're grabbing the pad, you're keying in a 4-digit code, and then 1 for unlock and 2 for lock. And then there's a third channel that comes out of the unit that can give you trunk pop or wife eject. I don't know, whatever you're
wife eject. You have a switch
I'm
for that.
kidding.
Let's see what the icon looks like.
Yeah. So so it's a great piece. It goes on the door. I know I had one on my Avalanche, and under the mirror they kind of have that ABS surrounding the side mirror. And I actually positioned it right there. So it was really out of the way. But it's fantastic for anybody who is, if you look at it, I like to, I do a lot of biking. I do a lot of running as well. And you don't want to be carrying keys around ever. That's the last thing. I do a lot of hiking as well. And there's nothing better than just leaving your keys in the car and going off on your thing and not having something clanking around. And that's really what it's for.
I guess for me, I love this feature. I've had vehicles with this from factory on, which I absolutely adored. But you do have to make a hole on the outside of the door.
Yeah, people get really fearful of that. I know there's quite a few units that do that. With ours, you do not. So it's completely wireless. There's no hole. Yeah, it's literally just a wireless keypad. That's right. Actually, I think I had one bring in. So it's literally a glorified remote. So it works just the same. I'm going to open up a box. It's like Christmas over here. Hang on.
Right, here we go. I'm going to put you full screen. Let's take a look at this here.
So
So that unit there.
There's no wires, right? That's the keypad itself. Yeah. So there's 2 3-volt batteries stacked on top of each other for longevity and strength inside it. You'll have to replace the battery usually about once, depending how often you use it. But usually, maybe once every 18 months or so. And that's it, because there's really not a lot going on. So you're keying the code and it's just a remote. You key the code that communicates with the brain, and then you give it the function. So it basically authorizes from the code, accepts that that's the remote that belongs to the brain. And then you're hitting button 1, button 2 for lock and unlock. And then button 3 for, again, pump track or trunk pop. Pretty cool. I think, did you move me back? I think I lost. Oh, there we go. I'm back.
Sorry.
Super. It's all right. So so there's no drilling involved. There's no, it's a nice, clean the surface, double stick, put it on there. For people who've had a Ford with this, that's usually the majority of the people that come running first. They're first in line because Ford's had those for many years. And once you have that feature, it's really hard to.
Romesh, I like your comment on this. I believe this is something that Importel does quite well with. Yep, just unmute. There he is.
Yep. So we've sold these for, I don't know, almost over 5 years, 6 years, like a long time. And we have dealers looking for this all the time. They're like consumers coming into the dealer. It's kind of weird that I think the tail wags the dog. Again, this is another one of those things that I said that you just need to have one. They're not terribly costly to inventory, but when the person walks in and they're looking for the solution, if you have it in your stock room or on display, you remember that you have it. Yeah. And if you don't have it, you kind of forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So
it happens.
My question for this, Christian, is this compatible with other alarm systems or only factory, or just trying to understand where this fits in?
Yeah, absolutely, because all it is a trigger out, right? So you're just triggering. I think they're negative triggers, and I think you can actually switch that. But so it's a negative or a positive trigger out, and that's it. Channel 1, channel 2, channel 3.
Think of it as keyless entry.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Right.
Okay.
So any application where you need keyless entry, rather than sell a remote transmitter, right? You can just walk up, because that's effectively what it is. It's a transmitter with a code on the outside of the vehicle, I think is what Christian was trying to convey.
But I also think if you're installing another alarm that has keyless entry,
Sure.
you could just easily tap into those wires, right? And you've already
Absolutely.
done that. You've already bought an iData module, so now,
Sure.
if a customer wants that, you're already in there. You're double sticking. You're probably, if you want a keypad, if you want a keypad option on that, you probably, $150 more. Here you go. Now you can have a keypad option as well. You have a couple brains in the car, but they don't care.
All right. Let's click that. Now, last and final category that we're going to talk about today, cameras. Now, I know recently we had you on, Christian, you were super excited about these new higher definition cameras. Let's revisit this because I know this is an important category for us. But let's talk about cameras in general for Accele. Like, where is that on the level? Because I feel like you guys are pretty focused on that category.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty big focus. I mean, you can kind of see, most newer vehicles obviously are coming with most of that technology already built in, but there's a lot of vehicles on the road that don't. And I think, some of the cars from like 2012, 2013, Dodges, I don't want to bag on them too bad, but Dodges in particular, those, some of the OE cams in the, in the 2011, 2012, they just weren't very good. And I'll
let's not just be Dodge. I got a Subaru.
Yeah.
That original camera. Oh my geez, it's awful.
Yeah, bad.
It's bad. Like,
yeah.
Straight up bad.
Yeah. And fortunately for us, they go bad, right? So, we need a workaround, and we need something that's that's a better quality, that's a step up, and something people will be happy to replace with, right? So there's a lot of that business still out there, just not as much on the the expediter side or the dealership side and new car side, obviously, right? Yeah.
So what makes this camera so special?
This camera is really spectacular.
Other than the fact that it's got a really long SKU name.
Yeah, it does. I know. We just keep stacking them on there. It all means something, which is good,
sure it
right?
Does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a TLP series cam. It's in the 150 series, which means that it comes with 3 different brackets.
Wait,
if you go to
LL, low lux.
Yeah.
180 degrees.
That's it.
I figured it out.
Something, right?
Yeah.
We were going to put a BW on the end of that.
Were you?
The
Ben Wu edition.
Ben Wu edition.
That's right.
Yes.
Like Eddie
It
Bauer.
would need a
like
Sirius
Ben Wu.
XM logo on it, though, if it's going to be a Ben Wu edition, right?
Check on the second
That's
picture.
a copyright issue.
Awesome. On the second picture at the bottom.
Yep, absolutely. Here we go.
Yeah. So that's the TLP 150 series. So we have about 4 cams in that series, and that's the most important part right here, because you have it on the shelf. It's extremely versatile. So you're not just stuck putting it in the plate. Though that's a nice option. It has a surface mount bracket, and you have a flush mount option as well. And all 3 come every single time with all of our TLP 150 series cams. If you go back to the, you can go there. The resolution on this guy is incredible. If you scroll down a little further, just scroll down on the specs. There you go. 800 TV lines. So it's amazing. Those are my beautiful hands right there. I took a quick shot.
You got a lot of wrinkles on your hands, or just
I know.
crazy high definition.
I have the hands. Yeah, I have the hands of an incredibly obese 90-year-old man, which is fantastic. But the resolution on it it's incredible, and it's that well. And a lot of times with the 180 cam, because we're also going to get the fact that it's 180 degrees. A lot of times with the 180 cam, it kind of distorts it, and it doesn't really help with resolution unless you're right up on it. This one, the resolution really carries far. It's just an incredible piece.
What are you trying to show here, Christian?
I'm showing you the lux rating, right? So I'm basically on top of it. There's very little light getting in there. And it's not just the fact that you can see and that it illuminates. It's the fact that I have my hand over it and it's still in color, right?
It most absolutely is.
Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? So, I mean, this camera sees so much better than your eyes. It's amazing. And obviously you have 180 degrees. And then the versatility factor, it has 2 loops on it. So you can do standard image, you can do reverse image. So you can put it on the front, you can put it on the back, you can have parking lines, you can eliminate the parking lines. It's really one cam that you can use just about in any situation.
Jaren, talk to me about this camera, man. This camera looks pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a super impressive camera. Great visibility on it. The low lux, especially now when it gets dark at 4 o'clock. We're talking Canada. So you need that low lux rating. I don't think I drive my car when it's sunny now. Unless I go out for lunch, that's like the only time you get to drive in the sun. But the low lux rating, even on some of the factory cameras, is just, it's not very great. It's not very good.
Yeah.
So even this is an upgrade, like Christian said. Some of these cameras in that generation are starting to fail. So this is a good replacement, or those vehicles that maybe don't have the camera. And there's also other options because of the mounting options of this. This could be turned into a front camera or a side camera on something, right? There's more places to put a camera besides just.
Yeah, the 180 nature really, the 180 nature really gives you that panoramic. So on a side cam, it's outstanding. Depending on what angle you're at. Sometimes when people are doing a side cam, they prefer a more narrow view, like a 70 degree or no more than 100. But sometimes
you mean like a blind spot cam is what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you don't want a 180 for a blind spot necessarily.
No. But if you're in a larger vehicle and you need that panoramic, then you do, right? Yeah. SUVs, etc.
And I see it comes with the different mounting options and so on and so forth. So, I mean, the lux rating, I think for me is the killer. I mean, obviously it's super clear, but the lux rating, I mean, covering the lens like that speaks volumes to what that camera can do. Because we all know what cruddy cameras do when you cover it.
And it's just that last test is really good. If where I'm putting my hand over the lens, to try that with some of your other cams.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if it has built-in IR for night vision, it's going to be black and white immediately, right?
Right.
As soon as those lights go on, it's black and white. But try that with the other cams that you have on your shelf, and see if you put your hand that close to the lens, if you still see color, because you won't. It's just it's amazing. It just completely illuminates it and still retains the color for a good portion. Now, obviously, there's a shut off period of that, So
for sure.
if it's black and there's no color, it's black. But
while we're here, Christian, we're at the top of the hour. I wanted to point out here, this is a website. Right now we're on .com. I'm going to go to .ca because you created a website just for Canadian businesses and people to go to and use as a resource right here.
Yeah. Yep. And so we have really, this focuses a lot on the items that are in stock in Canada, right? So we have some updates to do on it. For the most part, everything that we have there is available in Canada because we have 8,000 SKUs. And as much as I think Jaren and Romesh like us, I don't think they're going to, they'd have to get some pretty big warehouses to stock everything we offer. So what we do is like to focus on, just the items that are available in Canada. But I also like to lead people back to it because, we have trucks going up to the east and west coast of Canada every week. And, so it's not a big turnaround time for special orders. And if there's something you want, if there's something you see, call us, and we'll get it up there for you. I have two great partners that are, extremely efficient and do really well at what they do, meaning get you our products. So, it's an easy thing for us to do.
You see the digits on the bottom. If you're interested in Accele products, you can check out the website, accele.ca, or contact either Jaren and his team at BB Distribution at bbdistribution.ca, or Romesh and his team at Importel at importel.com. I think you got two really good distributors there on your team there, Christian. There's no doubt about it. Now, I know you missed this in the beginning. We did talk about relays. One of those things that are super important. We even talked about the waterproof ones. The one thing that I want to circle back to on the relays that we didn't get to talk about, I'll give you an opportunity to talk about real quick, Christian. Yeah. Low voltage relays for electric cars.
Yeah, so huge, right? We have not just low voltage relays. I kind of brought up
because when you say that, I'm also thinking power sports. I'm thinking applications with
So we have two different versions, right? One is actually just a module, and so this is our new ACC20. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Yeah. And it's an accessory we call it an accessory generator, right? 3 wires coming out of it, right? So you're going to have positive This is your output right here. This is your input, so 12 volts, ground, and this is your output. Now, as soon as this sees 13.6 volts, it turns on, right? So you can kind of put it anywhere, you can put it directly on the battery. As soon as the battery, when you're driving your car, you're obviously going to go up and over 14. As soon as it sees 13.6, it'll turn on. On this module, if it drops below 12.6, it shuts off, right? So that's the accessory generator, because generally when your car is running, it's always, the battery is kind of increasing. Now, if you're on electric cars, where that doesn't fluctuate and there's no real accessory, you can't find it, then you want to be able to trigger a low voltage, meaning, as low as, say 1.5 volts or 2 volts, even less. That is our new low voltage relay right there. I don't know if you can see that. So again, this will trigger from 1.5 volts to 12, right? That's all it needs to trigger that relay. So obviously you have power in, you have your trigger. So as soon as it sees minute amount of voltage, it'll switch over and open up the circuit for you. So
yeah. And those are exactly what we're trying to say in the beginning. Jaren, I'm going to let you close off here. You were mentioning how it's in so many different categories. Today we touched on a couple of them. Just wrap it up for us. Wow, tongue twister. Real quick, from a BB perspective with Accele.
So from a BB perspective, certainly we got all the SKUs that we kind of talked about here today as our core items, but BB really strides itself on being a solution-based company, and Accele definitely helps us out in being that solution-based company. So if there is a solution out there, they're definitely one of our partners to be able to provide as that solution for the dealers, whether it be the little knickknacks and stuff that Christian carries or something different that you need. Reach out to us, we can get in touch with Christian and we'll be able to find a solution for you if you have that problem or just that solution for the customer, right? Whether it be raw LCD monitors that you need in the car, custom builds, that type of stuff, actuators, the list goes on. Like Christian said, 8,000 SKUs, that's a lot of parts, right? To have at your disposal, to need, right?
It's a powerful partner. That is what it means, and a very one that you need in your toolbox for sure. Romesh, what does it mean to Importel to have Accele on the roster, and what do dealers look for most in it?
Well, we've been longtime partners. I mean, Christian's always bailed them out. I bailed us out. I know I've called him often trying to figure out solutions to I don't know, off the wall kind of requests from either consumers or dealers.
Ramesh loves asking me the questions I don't have the answer to. That's
but you give me the right answer.
He wakes up every morning and tries to think, how can I stump Christian today? And
you know what? That how can I stump Christian today only comes from our awesome dealers,
right?
And Christian always gives me the right answer, which is, you know what? I don't know, but I'll find out. And that's better than the wrong answer or no answer. Exactly. Well, you're laughing, but this is the same thing. I mean, I'm sure, Jared agrees. I mean, we're all in the same, we're all trying to get answers for, at the end, for the end consumer. And, as a partner, you've got a lot of unique solutions, things that we need. Dealers don't realize it because they might not, on their own, they might not be always a high ticket item. I mean, we've been doing video and flip down video and rear seat entertainment for, I don't know, since Christ was a cowboy, I think, with Accele. But then there's like the Bueller line, and there's the Qi charging pads and the vehicle specific SKUs and the ADAS and the collision avoidance and all of these categories that are, I hate using the word emerging because they're already here, but maybe at the retail level in the shop, they may be emerging because we may be dinosaurs, all of us, myself included, so they're an extremely important partner for us.
Awesome. Guys, I want to thank Jaren and Romesh from both BB and Importel for joining us today. Christian, hang out for a second. I want a last word with the Vice President himself. Thanks, Jaren. Thanks, Romesh.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. So, Christian, there you are. There's your two dealers. I keep the digits on the bottom here. Sorry, distributors. Yeah. And so if dealers want, they can get a hold of either BB and Importel, like mentioned. Now, here's the big question. The big question is, you do a lot of stuff. You have 8,000 SKUs. What possibly could you be working on? Can you give us a glimpse? Because I mean, I kind of see the patterns. I see the focus on the cameras. I see the focus on the seat heaters. Is there another category that we can expect to see some cool things coming down?
Developing like on the seat heaters, there's one thing I couldn't go into today, but in the upcoming weeks, I promise you, we have something really, really unique happening in the seat comfort system world. And it's gonna be a huge hit.
So that's what we're gonna wait for that then.
Yeah.
So something game changing.
But also I think again, I've always talked about heads up. I think that's really I think that's a path for us in the future.
Sorry, heads up displays.
Yeah. And I think the windshield is just gonna become a different place. More cars are coming out with autonomous options for driving. And I think as soon as that becomes, a technology that everyone trusts and is good, as soon as vehicles begin to communicate with each other, you're going to be able to direct, your attention elsewhere. I recently bought, this is funny. I've been driving an electric car for 4 years. I live in California. Gas prices are ridiculous, right? So I finally broke down and bought a base model Tesla, and I bought it because I drive, about 3 hours on Fridays and Sundays. I go out and see my mother's a little older, so I go out and take care of her. So, but it's just California traffic. It's ridiculous. And so I specifically bought that for the autopilot. End of story. Get in the car, boom, 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 get on the freeway, go. And it's amazing how much more room you have in your mind when you don't have to completely focus on driving. It's 3 hours. And imagine if you didn't have to keep the hand on the wheel anymore, or imagine it was just all your time. That travel time becomes yours. Then everyone's going to want something different in their car. They're going to want it to be a living room or an entertainment center or an office. And that windshield becomes something entirely different.
You know what? You might be the only brand that we have spoken to that is kind of focusing on that. So I find that very, very interesting. Yeah. Christian, thank you so much for the season. I think this is our last broadcast scheduled anyways for 2021. We want to say thank you for coming on and sharing with us and training our Canadian dealers on everything that you do and all the great products that you have. Really look forward to what's coming down the pipe in 2022. And again, thank you for your support and being with us.
Appreciate it, man.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care now.
Take care. Bye.
So that was Christian Way, Vice President of Accele Electronics. I want to give a shout out to Jaren from BB Distribution and Romesh from Importel for taking the time to join with us. That's Accele. You want to check them out on accele.ca. You want to buy their products, simple, BB, Importel, you make your choice. On that note, I want to thank everybody for tuning into this edition of CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. It is the weekend, so please get out there, enjoy it. If it's snowing, have fun in the snow. If it's not, get your fun in before it comes. On that note, take care. My name is Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
Hey, y'all. Can we change up the chores?
Sorry. It's up to the wheel, man.
Oh, yeah?
Hey, change the channel back.
Sorry, it's up to the wheel.